Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Salience. That's me.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio.
You know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Well, it's Thursday night, so naturally it's the night for the Alliance guys. And our beloved leader is currently pissing me off by going to England and Scotland, which is where I would rather be. But we have a replacement for him. Now, Jay speaks highly of this gentleman, but Jay's friends with Jaden and I, so it makes me question his credibility. But we are welcoming to the show, Rick Del Santo.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me today. It's an honor to be here once again on this program. This is my first time here with you. I've been done the show once with Jay, way back, a couple years at least.
Yeah, you're probably my replacement. When I had to miss a week. Hopefully, Jaden will join us shortly on Thursdays. He has some stuff that he gets off somewhere between the top of the hour and the next 20 minutes that he's normally able to join us. But until then, Rick, why don't you tell the crowd out there and me and everybody else a bit about yourself? How'd you get into the NWA wrestling, and why is Billy Corgan's commentary the worst on the planet?
I got into the NWA probably like 1986, 1987. I've been a full supporter of them for the next 3 to 4 decades. And it wasn't until recently I kind of subsided a little bit with that thought. I've loved it. I've loved the history. I've loved everything about it. No matter what stage of the NWA it was in, it could have been at its lowest. But I just think right now, as much as I love the NWA, it's driving me crazy. It's not nearly as high level as it once was, and it's been struggling like that. Billy Corgan, on the other hand, listening to him, I watched caught up with Power this week today, and he just does not need to be on the booth. He's like one of the worst people I've heard, and I've heard a lot of terrible people in me watching professional wrestling for over 40 years, I tell you, and he's just atrocious. He does not need to be in the booth.
Don't you like the way he talks about his own booking, though? I mean, it's the one time I agree with Billy when he talks about his own booking.
Yeah, well, at least he knows. So,
actually, I'm not so sure he does. But for man, he will certainly talk like he agrees with us.
Yeah,
so I don't quite know how to feel about that, but. That's as Iceman's mama say, it bees that way sometimes. So you said you started getting into the NWA in the 80s. Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah, probably like 86, 87, somewhere around there.
So you, Ric Flair, Magnum TA, Barry Windham,
the Koloffs,
Koloffs, all that stuff.
Yep.
So.
The Andersons, Arn and Tully, all that stuff, the Horsemen.
So what was your favorite thing about that time period?
It was just like the crowds were wild. Everything that they did was so perfect. It just, you could watch Worldwide, NWA Pro, whatever. It'd always be one of those like edge of your seat moments at the end of the show. It just make you tune in the following week. You had to sit there the following Saturday morning,
Very good. Did you have a favorite wrestler back then?
My favorite wrestler for the last 40 plus years has always been Double A Arn Anderson.
Double A Arn Anderson.
Yep.
He's a pretty good wrestler.
Yes, sir.
I would not dispute that at all.
What's wrong with this chick, Dad?
So
She's literally over there just screaming it.
I'm not going to disagree with the Rock and Roll Express of the Road Warriors. Obviously, they were high levels, some of the greatest tag teams of all time. Yes, Willie.
yes. So it was one of those. Sorry about that. Someone came to my door and I had to.
You're good.
I had to check with them. Anyway, yeah, just I was really into the Road Warriors, although I never understood why they didn't put the tag team belts on them sooner and longer and everything like that. They always said they go, well, the problem with putting the belt on the Road Warriors was that, how do you take it off them? Well, I don't know. The AWA found a way to take them off them. He found a way to take them off. But you didn't need to take them off, take it off them for, long periods of time. They showed they could hold top titles for a while.
Yeah.
Still be relevant. So, yeah, that was always one of my things. Although, I suppose 86 was a big year for me in that world. Of course, I was also in world class. But, yeah, that was a big year for me. And I remember Dusty winning the world title and screaming a lot when he lost it 2 weeks later. And then why do they do that crap and all? So yeah, it was.
The thing with
it was interesting. By the time of '86, I had actually grown tired of Dusty.
Well, the thing with Dusty, he was never like a long-term champion. He was always like short-term. Whether he held it for a couple weeks or a couple months or whatever, he just seemed to be like the transition guy in a way.
Yeah, and that was always that was almost all his title reigns.
Right.
If you go back and look, I think the longest he ever held a title was in Hawaii. He held the Hawaiian version of the North American title for like 6 or 7 months, and that was pretty much it. Most of his title reigns tended to be a few weeks to about 3 months. He didn't hold titles much longer than that.
Right.
I suppose part of it was being the booker. You tried not to put the title on yourself. There were plenty of bookers that did.
Yeah. But,
I suppose he would try not to. But then he always wanted to be in the main event, too. So, but, yeah, when I remember, because 86 was the year that Magnum TA was injured.
With the car wreck, right?
Yep. Car wreck.
Yep.
And so going into Dusty had won the TV title after losing the world belt. He had won the TV title from Arn Anderson. And he went into Starrcade 86 and he was defending the title against Tully Blanchard. And, he was doing it for Maggie and everything. And it was a first blood match, which Dusty drew first blood, but the referee was knocked out or something and didn't see it. And J.J. Dillon suddenly became a boxing cut man. Or he went in there and pressed on the cut and put the Vaseline or whatever in it and everything. So he had wiped Tully's face, so you didn't know that he'd been bleeding. And then Tully got up and busted Dusty open, and so Tully won the TV title. It's just like, really? He's got to do a screw job finish on the night that he's got to do a screw job finish to lose the title in the match that was for Magnum TA. That was just, and I was smart enough at that time to know that Dusty was booking.
Right.
So I didn't know a lot about the inside of wrestling, but I knew Dusty was the one booking. And so that was one.
Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off, but when did you discover like insider news, like newsletters and stuff like that? Did you ever discover that at one point?
I really didn't discover insider stuff until pretty late. I think it was like the early 90s or something like that.
Yep.
But I knew enough people that I could get tidbits and stuff like that.
Right.
And then, like in World Class, I remember someone telling me that the Super Destroyers were, Wild Bill Irwin and his brother.
Right.
And I just go, oh, I go, Bill Irwin doesn't look like the Super Destroyer. I'm thinking, no, he was 2. He's Super Destroyer 2. I'm like, oh, I always wondered who that goofball was. Because I remember the Super Destroyer from, Georgia Championship Wrestling in the 80s, 81, early 80s. So, when they came back, and it was funny. Jaden and I have talked about this, and I don't know if this is something you've noticed or not. But when they were finally unmasked in World Class and started getting known as, Wild Bill and Scott Hogg Irwin, and called their tag team the Long Riders, Jaden and I have always said the Long Riders didn't wrestle the same. Well, apparently Rick didn't like us anymore. He disappeared. But the Long Riders didn't wrestle the same as the Super Destroyers. So there we go. You're back. You abandoned me.
Somehow I got kicked out. I have no idea how.
Well, it wasn't me. Trust me. I don't like doing these shows alone. Let's see. Willie Bowen notes that. Okay, hold on. Let me get to the right spot. Well, first, Willie Bowen has his Tyrus joke of the night. Hi, guys. Tyrus' new cooking food TV series is gone in 60 seconds, which I would not in any way, shape, or form doubt. And then he also notes that he's been a fan of NWA Pro Wrestling since the 60s, so he's got us both beat.
He's got a few years on us. Wow.
Yeah. And, as you were pointing out, don't leave out the Rock and Roll and the Road Warriors and all them. You can't.
Yep.
Millennial Nerd says, because Billy Corgan will sing his praises about Markova and pretty much not talk about Hunter Drake commentary, so I'm sure that was talking about when we were doing his. I remember the I Quit match between Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA. Interesting thing, which they tried to make a little bit of an angle out, but if you ever gone back and watched that match in some of the things, Tully Blanchard never actually said I quit. The referee asked him if he quit, and he said yes.
Correct. He screamed yes numerous times. Yes. I've watched that match many, many times in my life. Yes.
Yes, but he never actually said I quit, which was actually supposed to be the ending. You wasn't supposed to end unless you said I quit.
I love that match. It's just, to me, it's just, it's like next level. There's the piece of the cherries just digging in his head. There's blood everywhere. It's pretty awesome.
Willie Bowen again. That's the birth of the superpowers with Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff. That was one of the few times that I was truly surprised by a turn. The most surprised I ever was Barry Windham on Lex Luger in their tag match.
Yep.
And I was told, and I have seen clips since, but I guess in one of their weekly syndicated shows, they had actually been doing a setup for that. Okay. Where J.J. Dillon would come out and talk to Barry Windham about, you can't trust Luger, he's not really there for you, or whatever. And in the match where the turn actually takes place, you'll see that that's basically, Dillon's in over there by Windham telling him, see, I told you, And so apparently there was setup, but not in any of the stuff I watched, and I was not expecting that at all. So Sean Mega says hello and notes that in 1999 is when he discovered IWC. So that catches us up here on the chat. And so I understand, Stan, you had the pleasure of, watching Power.
Pleasure? Yeah, we can say pleasure.
We're gonna go with that.
Let's put it loosely. Pleasure, yes. I've been a diehard. I was a diehard fan of Power when it first started, the first few seasons. Then struggled a bit with, but I still hung in there. I haven't been watching it as much as I used to ever since they moved to X. It's just it's one of those things I don't understand because people have to go out of their way to watch it. People should never have to go out of their way to watch a program. But I did catch up with, I usually keep up with it, whether the internet or watch clips online. However, I watched this full episode. And before we get into it, I actually, for the most part, enjoyed the majority of this program. There are some things I think you and I discussed in the group chat before, how I didn't care for a couple things. But for the most part, I thought that this was a pretty decent episode overall, with the exception of Billy on commentary.
Well, yeah, Billy. Stay off the commentary thing.
Oh, it drives me nuts, yeah.
Well, the show started, surprisingly, not with one of their most horrible skits, but just...
We'll get into those skits throughout this, review, trust me, because I got some comments on the ones that took place on this show.
So we had Tom Latimer doing a promo in the style of the skits of the past few weeks, but it was a simple little promo. It wasn't fire, so to speak, but it was certainly the best thing that they've put out that wasn't a wrestling match. And it was short, to the point. What did you think of his little intro?
Tom Latimer, I think on this intro, I thought that it was not terrible. It was pretty good for the most part. You know what I mean? I think that Tom Latimer is a gem in the world of professional wrestling. He's really like a very integral part of the National Wrestling Alliance. I think he's doing a great job as champion as well.
I would agree. I wish the NWA would talk more about him as champion.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and watch, like we're discussing older NWA, the champion was always mentioned throughout the entire show, talking about you know what I mean? If you're watching like Jim Crockett promotions, they'd always be putting over Ric Flair as champion, what's coming up, this and that, even if it's just some random squash match by somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be very important for them to be doing something like that with Tom Latimer.
Yeah, he's getting a little more visibility now that they're kind of finally off EC3.
Yeah.
But it was like forever after EC3 lost the title, it was like, well, he was still the focus. It's like,
yeah,
who's your champion? Tom Latimer, but our star is EC3. It's like, okay.
I think Tom has a ton of star power. Like, it's just about matter how you book him and put him out there. I think he could be a big star in the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, I would at least like to give him the chance to get more over.
Yeah.
Okay. So after that, we come to our first match of the night. Now, in this set of tapings, one of the things they've done is that there's no ring entrances, there's no introductions. I don't know what they're doing at the live shows, if they have a ring announcer or not. But for the tape, for what they're showing us on Power, that they're not doing it. And I really kind of missed it here in the first match, which was Alex Taylor defending his title against Slade, who a few weeks back had won a number one contenders match. And it was like, it's hard to, one of the ways that you help get a person and title over is by their introduction and the belt and everything. And, they'd already taken the belts and put it on a table somewhere. We didn't see it till the end, and so I missed that element of it. It's like, okay, maybe you need to go back to that.
Right.
And but the match itself, I thought was pretty good. One thing I did notice, which kind of goes with something I've said, because they brought up again about, Slade. Are you sure he's a junior heavyweight? Oh, I am. Just barely. He's right there on that line. Slade's barely taller than Alex Taylor, who we all know is pretty short. Yeah. And he wasn't that much bigger than Alex Taylor, who's probably around 170 to 180 pounds. So this idea that Slade is somehow over 225, I still don't get. I don't understand why. I mean, even Jay has said it before. It's just like, well, he's so much bigger than the other junior heavyweight. Well, yeah, when they're putting him in,
I think he's more toned, like his body. But
I would agree with that. I'll put him in at a legit 200 or somewhere around there. I would not put him in at 236, which is where some people want to put him. And it's just like, but I thought the match was good. I thought they wrestled well. I thought there was some good back and forth. Would have liked to have seen Slade win, but I understand why he didn't. I thought the ending my only problem with the ending is, Slade himself is who unfastens the headgear. And so then Alex Taylor just takes it off, boxes the ears, and hits his finishing maneuver. By the way, I hate the hot to trot thing. And, but, the match itself, that was a good match. Decent ending. It worked for me.
Yeah, I thought this was one of the better matches that I've seen in the NWA currently in the last couple months. You know what I mean? It kept my interest. I was actually excited about it as it was going on, because it was not just, it was convincing, all of it. The facials were perfectly set. Everything was just perfect about it. You know what I mean? And I think Alex Taylor's another guy who's got a lot of potential going forward. He's an NWA junior champion. Obviously, that's why they put the belt on him. Slade is great too. So this was a fun match. I thought it was a really, really fun match.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. It was one of the better matches that they've had. Sean Mega notes there's no excuse for not having introductions. A TV taping is one thing, but the signature live events that now are nothing but just a TV taping. I kind of agree.
Yeah, that's one thing that the NWA's got to get back to, is having events separate from just their TV tapings. Like, they used to have the Power TV tapings, then they would have the Crockett Cup, and it was on Fight or whatever, outlet that it was on. And that's something that I think is very important. I think that's something that's actually hurting the NWA in a way as well. Like, the TV should be building up for us to spend $15-$20 on a pay-per-view on Fight or whatever platform that they could figure it out if they had their own platform. So it's just kind of to me, it doesn't make sense that they're just holding, I went to NWA 76 last year. They just taped it all and then just put it on the TV rather than having an actual broadcast for it, which, even if they air it a day or two later,
Yeah, we've talked about on the show before. It's I'm one that's it's easy to say they should have a pay-per-view. The last pay-per-view they supposedly had some of their best numbers, and I think we learned the buys were around 200, 211 or whatever. And you go, Jesus, that's not good.
No, even if you look at it, think about it this way: put it on YouTube. Do a live stream from YouTube. MLW is doing it once a month, doing a live stream, a 2-hour live stream each month on YouTube, and it seems to work for them. They're getting several thousand views during it. I'm watching them.
Yeah, I watch them. Exodus Pro has done 3 episodes. They've done at least 3 shows on the NWA's own YouTube page.
Okay.
So I would think that, if Exodus Pro can use their YouTube, Billy doesn't seem to like YouTube. He's mad at them. We think that's the reason they're on X. A lot of us.
How much money are they getting from X? They can't be making anything by putting it up there. There's no advertisement. I mean, on the shows.
I don't know. And X pays differently. They pay based on interactions. That's what I've been told. So it's not just views. They may pay something for views, but they also pay, for interactions. And it's not a video platform.
Right.
And, a lot of us said we think they went, because originally X was supposedly supposed to just be short term. And a lot of us thought they went to X so that they didn't have to go back to YouTube. Because Billy had more or less trashed YouTube when he went to CW. And we saw that worked out.
Yeah, they were going in, 8 months? Less than 8 months? Something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that, because we're all trying to figure out. And Jay said he heard that whatever money they were getting from CW wasn't enough to even cover their production cost and everything. I don't know. But I think it was probably mutual agreement for them to split. But I don't think, but it was a sudden mutual agreement.
Right.
Because, they were actually talking about a third show. Oh, there's going to be a third show. And I remember Fiona from Scotland, saying, I hope that's available to your international audience. Well, it's going to be on CW2, so it's not really going to, and I don't know what it was. They said a wrestling show, but other people told me it wasn't. It was going to be a mix of wrestling. It was basically going to be a mix between Billy's Carney Land and a wrestling show, and I didn't really. It was.
I watched Carney, and then actually it kept my interest more than Power was keeping my interest.
Oh, I refused to watch Carney Land, and apparently not very many people watched it.
Yeah. Well, then they made a big deal about it. Once they took off it, they put it on Peacock for a little while, like it was brand new. It was like it's already been out there. How many people watched it? Now they're going to watch it on Peacock, and then another platform picked it up after.
And it's not that old. Right. I mean, excuse me, it's not that long. But the show itself is old. I mean,
yes,
it was like in the can for a year before they got CW to do it. So that was crazy. So
I'm showing the NWA Exodus show. I'm looking at it right now. It has over 23,000 views from the live stream. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. And I think the NWA could draw better than that. Some of these things. I've thought about like on the YouTube channel, just offering it for members. You can be a member and you can do member exclusives. I don't know a whole lot about that, but I know.
No, you can as long as you have over 1,000 subscribers, which they do. They have 312 plus thousand subscribers. They can charge a minimal. I mean, they can charge the minimum of $1. You know what I mean, for a weekly television program. Imagine that. Like, that's not too bad if you can get those people if they do like exclusive content for the show. Or for the channel, rather, for YouTube. They still have videos that they're uploading to YouTube for somebody that trashed YouTube.
Well, yeah. Now they're you can basically still see the Power Wrestling.
Yeah.
You just watch it YouTube one match at a time.
Yeah, it's in clips. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. Go figure, as they say. All right. So now we had after that match where Alex Taylor retained the title. We have the first of the skits, and it's the bar where the Southern Six has been, but there's no Southern Six this time. There's no customers this time. It's 2 bartenders, both of whom I recognize as backstage people at NWA shows, and they're wiping down the bar while gossiping. And so one of the gossips is apparently one of Thrillbilly's girlfriends is stepping out on him with one of the other members of the Southern Six, and it's more tons of fun, was the hint given. So, wink, wink, nod, nod as to who that is. And it was as bad as all the other skits they've had since they started doing this process. So you haven't had a chance to share with us your thoughts on the skits and everything. So we'll give you an open mic.
This was atrocious, literally. Sorry to come on the Alliance guys and just trash this show, trash these skits. But honestly, I thought that this was bloody awful. The acting was terrible. To me, it just made no sense whatsoever. I don't watch, when I think of the NWA, it's not to watch skits. I can go watch WWE for stuff like that, in between match skits, comedic skits, dramatic skits, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's this, and it didn't make me care about this product or care about anything about this television show anymore. In fact, it just pulled me back a little bit and just be like, ugh, I couldn't take it.
Sean Mega said it reminded him of the bar skits from 1994 WCW. And quite honestly, I had totally forgotten about those. I blocked them out of my mind. So thanks, Sean, for, bringing up traumatic memories.
At least they had a midget.
Speaking of traumatic memories, Jaden.
Sorry, guys. My phone decided it needed to update right about a minute and a half before I was supposed to be on here. When I just got off, my phone updated.
Well,
Good evening.
It took a while for it to update, and then I had to update. For some reason, it made me update Facebook before I can get the link to come here, which then it made me update to come here. So it didn't want me on today, that's for sure. But I fought my way through here and got myself here now.
Yay! Now we don't have to carry the show. We'll let you do that. But of course, you don't watch Power, so that doesn't help us any.
That's actually, I probably have the best outlook on it because I'm not as jaded as you two. Hi, Rick, by the way. Long time no see.
Good evening, sir. Great to see you here tonight.
All right, so we're talking about bad skits, or as I like to call them, segments or vignettes. Television background.
Oh, see, that makes it sound like it's television, though. This is more, like I said, third grade, okay, class, we're going to write a commercial.
The acting was absolutely atrocious, to be honest with you. It was just, like I said, this pulled me back and care less about watching NWA Power. This particular, actually, and we're going to get even deeper into this as we go along the show too.
All right, so here comes the exciting moment. The match that we never knew we wanted, and we still don't know that we wanted. But it was an empty arena match.
So was AEW?
It was an empty arena match between Ruthie J and La Rosa Negra, because a long, long, long time ago, with absolutely no follow-up, after a tag match, Ruthie J attacked La Rosa Negra. And so it's been a long time. We've all totally forgotten about it. We're all happy with the fact that we've totally forgotten about it. And in this episode, it brings up because these two don't like each other so much that we have to settle it in the ring per Billy. And this is how we settle things in the NWA, which I don't remember, any of the other feuds or times that people have turned on each other that it was an empty arena match. But apparently now this is how they settle things in the NWA. So, of course, empty arena basically meant there was nobody in the audience to boo it. And there was no disqualification. And a chair was involved in multiple ways. And at the end of a match that I didn't really care about and was only moderately okay, Ruthie J got, I think, maybe her first singles win in the NWA by pinning La Rosa Negra, and then talked to her and the wrong camera several times. Rick, give us your opinion of this match.
They are lucky that this was an empty arena match, I tell you this, because they would have been booed out of the damn arena. Seriously, because it was, like you said, mildly mediocre. It was they moved very slow pace throughout the whole thing. It wasn't very threatening for an empty arena match. It's supposed to be kind of crazy. The chair shots were probably the best part about this match, where they were the most convincing. And then it suddenly ended, and I couldn't have been happier, to be honest with you. Not my favorite match, but I've definitely seen better for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, timing issues. Maybe if we had seen this within a couple of weeks of them actually splitting the team up, it would have meant something, but it didn't mean anything in this particular case. Wasn't sure why we were watching it. Wasn't sure why it was empty arena.
Billy trying to get this over throughout the entire match did not do it any justice as well.
No, Billy's the one person that can make it look worse. And these are one of those cases where Billy seems to criticize his own booking without realizing it. You just kind of go, okay, Billy. So, we all know that Dr. Lawrence Acronium would never book anything like that.
He does book Dave Dahl, though, so I can't, he's definitely not a saint.
Didn't say he was a saint. Just said he wouldn't book anything like that. All right. So after that, we get the next skit of the evening. And the next skit of the evening is Kylie Page in the gym working out her injured arm. Burchill shows up and gives her tips for training. Kylie seems to make some suggestions, which Burchill seems to be clueless to. Brian Idol shows up. Kylie gets into her rage and insults Markova. And then Markova shows up, and somehow or another it ends up booking Markova versus Drake. And I'm very sad that I had to pay as much attention to this as I did, because Lord knows all I really wanted to do was take a shot of whiskey, have a beer chaser, and go to bed. So, Rick.
This was, if I said that bar skit was the worst thing I'd ever seen, this is damn near close. Seriously. This should not have been taking place in this episode, literally. And it just seemed like it went on way too long and was not convincing by any stretch. It was just, like I said, the behind the scenes skits should not be happening in the NWA. It just does nothing for the show whatsoever.
Change the name from the skits, change the letter K for an H. And based on your description, I think that's a good description.
I mean, yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Yeah.
DK, you're muted.
Of course I am. So the next thing we had coming on was Colby Carino did a small promo for his match against Thrillbilly. For those of you who don't remember, somehow Colby Carino, who had one of the better records in the NWA, had a play-in match that was supposed to be a three-way, ended up only being a normal match, and so he got the number 8 seed. So he's going against number 1 seed Thrillbilly Silas Mason It was an okay little promo for what it was. Nothing special. Do you have any thoughts on it, Rick?
The promo was pretty good. This was this is where, to me, the show was picking up, and it was getting better. I thought that Colby, he's been around for quite some time. He's pretty experienced, and like I said, it wasn't the greatest thing on earth, but it was far better than anything I'd seen on the show up to this point.
Panties aren't the greatest thing in the world, but they're next to it.
I have heard that from you on this show. All right. So now it's time for your Dane event of the evening for the part of the Jack Stain Memorial Tournament. First round match, Colby Corino versus Thrillbilly Silas Mason. David versus Goliath. Little guy versus monster. This I found interesting. And so we're going to take a little time here and look at this. Or I'm going to take a little time and express my thoughts on this. This, as a match, was kind of, It was, big guy overpowering little guy, big guy stomping little guy getting some small flurries of offense in before big guy cut him off. Thrillbilly, the guy that should win the tournament, showing why he's a top-level wrestler. All right. Match is kind of, you've seen one big man versus small man. Okay, the story was good. The story of David versus Goliath is always kind of a good story.
DK, you saw that live too, so that's good. That's a good reference right there.
It is. It's a shame you couldn't make the trip, but hey. That being said, then what we get into, we had this odd thing happen. Tyler Franks, who was supposed to be in the three-way for the number 8 seed and missed, wasn't there, suddenly shows up at ringside. Now remember, even though the NWA is playing this off like that was weeks ago, because there's a real week in between all these things, even though they acknowledge they're all recorded at the same event, Tyler Franks shows up. And like he's trying to get in the ring and the referee sees him and he's upset, and trying to keep Franks out. And why is Franks there? And shortly after Frank shows up, Morton shows up. Kerry Morton shows up. So he goes in the ring. He's staring down Corino, who is very coherent, very cognitive. And he runs at Corino to give him his flying knee. And Corino, who again is very cognizant, simply moves out of the way as soon as Kerry starts running. So Kerry ends up smashing into Thrillbilly. The referee hears this commotion, sees Kerry in the ring, and Kerry rolls out. He's like, get out of the ring. Kerry rolls out, and Corino hits a finisher. I forget what it was off the top of my head. And, the bracket is broken. The number 8 seed beats the number 1 seed. Corino beats Thrillbilly Silas Mason. And to me, watching all that take place, and then afterwards, and Thrillbilly's not silly, and he doesn't know what's happened. And, Kerry Morgan, to me, may surprise some of you, but to me, that's wrestling. That's kind of that's what the storytelling aspect of it. These are the type of things that happen in the ring that make you want to know what's going to happen next in the ring. Not stupid segments, not bad interviews, not incredibly horrible skits. This type of stuff. I mean, look, they'd already been hinting at the tension between them. Anyone who saw the results already knew what was going to, happen. But the match itself, the story, good. The end, that's wrestling. And so I was pretty happy about this. So this sets up the semifinals, which is now Colby Carino versus Burchill, and the man they're calling Frank versus Kerry Morton. And that'll be interesting to watch since we know Thrillbilly probably has something to say about all this. So, Rick, tell me your thoughts on this match, the angle, the story at the end.
I quite enjoyed this match. I like the setup at the end. I believe Colby defeated him after a poison rana, if I'm correct. This was probably the best match on the show, honestly. And,
It's probably the best match on the card.
Oh, yeah. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the story, how it went. The whole thing with the ref catching Kerry in the ring, my eyes and Danny Deal's eyes, should have been an automatic disqualification. But that's neither here nor there. So,
Well, he didn't touch anybody.
Well, I mean,
that the ref saw.
That the ref saw. Yes. But to see him in there, I think that there was some. I would automatically take it as there was some shenanigans. I overall enjoyed this and was completely invested in this match. And I'm looking forward to the semifinals after watching this.
Now, this is what I don't understand, though. They made this. They broke up Thrillbilly and Pollo, an act that was actually over, and was the most over thing when Thrillbilly was absolutely at his pinnacle to create this Southern Six, and the process took away all the momentum that Thrillbilly had and all the momentum and Kerry Morton had. The only one that really got out of this is the junior heavyweight champion, in my opinion. He's the only one the Southern Six seemed to help. Alex Taylor, right?
Yeah.
So now they're breaking them up after that. Finally, after they're starting to get over as a team, they're finally getting over as a trio that people are starting to, work back to the momentum that they had before. And now they're breaking them up. And I just don't understand that. I mean, shouldn't have put them together to begin with. It was just some guys hanging out and they gave a name and decided to throw them together. But there was really nothing behind it. And they just ruined, to my opinion, both Kerry Morton and Thrillbilly until, just now where they're starting to get over. But that said, this is old school wrestling. This is a good story. If they're going to do it, I guess is a good way to do it. Better than the skits they were listening, and the segments and all the stuff you were talking about. Definitely sounds better than that. In-ring actions where most of the stuff should happen, in my opinion, or at least in a good interview segments on the side in front of the fans. So this is, if they're going to do it, this is probably the best way to do so. Also, real quick, I also learned Frank is Murphy from the Gunner and Murphy tag team in TNA.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
Michael Judias or whatever. Mikhail. He was from NWA Wildside, I think. That's actually who Frank is.
Wildside or Anarchy. Yes. Yeah, I knew who that was.
Well, You never said it's us.
Well, I mean, we talked about it, that it was Judias. Judias was...
Yeah, Judias. I didn't know who Judias was until that he was Murphy either.
Oh, I did not realize that you did not know that, I guess. You're smarter than me on most of those things.
I just probably didn't care.
Better than I do. All right, and so the show ends with, as it began, with a quick little clip from our World Heavyweight Champion, Tom Latimer, in which he basically says his final words for Aaron Stevens are, "It's the end of days for Aaron." Any thoughts on that little clip, Rick?
I mean, it's just kind of, it's moving forward in the storyline. It was just as good, if not, it pieces together with the opening of the show, and it's just going to show you going forward in the weeks to come.
Yeah, it's the beginning and the end segments, which were just little promos by Latimer, so much better than what they've done in the skits. especially today's skits. And I don't know. I guess we'll see. I do have a question for you.
Yep.
Frank and Morton were out there pretty much at the same time. Frank
Sounds like a good cereal.
Frank's comes out, and then like almost as soon as he's there arguing with the referee, Carrie's out, and we have our kerfuffle. Are they working together? Was it a coincidence? What do you think?
I got that there was probably like a whole setup. They were working together. That was what I was under the impression of.
Okay. That's kind of the impression I got too. Unfortunately, sometimes because they're so far behind and you know things that happen in the future.
Yeah.
I was wondering if maybe something was the case. And it's like, well, no, that doesn't make sense based on what I know. But we'll see. Coming back to the comments, and it's been a while since we looked at them. I guess this is in reference to Markova versus the guy that makes me sad, Hunter, or whatever his name is. So Noob says the match is going to be fun because Markova is going to be putting on a fun match when it comes to Markova. Okay. Devin Dowling says Carrie, Silas, Alex, Kinsey, Kylie, and Ella all teamed together on that Australian tour. I don't think Kylie and Ella were there, but I know the original Southern Six was Carrie, Silas, Alex, and Kinsey.
And Ricky Morton too, right?
Well, I mean, he was kind of like a manager type, but he wasn't in the ring. But yeah, the original Southerns, there were 4 in the original Southern Six, and the joke was the 2 was silent. So basically, it was supposed to be referencing the 4 Horsemen, the Southern Six. And but yeah, so that's where it kind of started. It wasn't really a Billy thing, which is probably why he hasn't done it well.
What Billy things that he's done well?
Nothing. Yeah, so when they returned the men say they kind of put the faction together after they returned. It's like it existed, but it didn't. I wasn't really. It was really weird what they were doing there. Tyler Franks, Hunter Drake, and Rolando Freeman are all from the same indie company known as New South Pro Wrestling, along with Kinsey and Kylie. Well, of course, Kinsey and Kylie come from Crossfire. Their dad's promotion, which they now run. And yeah, all in all, one of the better shows they've put on recently.
Yep.
Except for the empty arena match. And I don't know. I think we can say that I'm at least interested to see what they do next, and I'm at least interested that to not watch any more skits. So I did see some things that were good and improved upon, and I did like the callback on the front and the end. So let's see if they can do something next week.
I think that the setup of the show, of this event, was phenomenal. I loved it. It looked great. The crowd seemed to be really good and interested in it. Replace the skits with, say, ringside interviews or backstage interviews. Maybe they didn't have a day to sit and tape or something to that effect, to get together with talent and tape or whatever. But I thought the overall setup of the actual television program was actually really worked. Like, really looked good. And the best at the NWA looked in a long time, it seemed. Yeah,
it was a visually better show except for the skits.
Yes.
All right. Guardian of Chaos. I kind of jumped over his thing because it wasn't in fit with the power. But he has a question. where would you rank the current NWA in the hierarchy of wrestling, with WWE being number one, followed by AEW, TNA, Impact, blah, 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 include New Japan, ROH, MLW, etc. Thank you, guys. So, but my problem with ROH is that it's AEW.
It's the same exact product. There's not much different. It's basically the NXT equivalent to AEW currently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gone so far down since being purchased by Tony Khan. It has no heart, and I've tried watching it numerous occasions. It's like watching AEW Dark. There's no interest whatsoever. Nothing. There's nothing there that's going to make me tune in and be like, hey, gotta turn on ROH this week. Besides the fact that I get to see guys from my area on occasion jump in on the program, there's no real reason for me to tune in.
It was supposed to be a young guy. ROH always kind of featured young guys, and if there were some more veteran ones, there were some top veterans around the area, but they kind of focused on the young guys.
Yeah.
And it's like now it's like if they don't have use for them in AEW, they send them down to ROH.
Right.
And
is Jericho still champion there? I have no idea. It's been
he is, and that's the first time and the second time they supposedly made Jericho champion because he was a name and it was a better chance to get him a TV deal. Well, it didn't work last time, and it doesn't seem to be working this time.
Yeah.
So, but where would I rank the NWA in a hierarchy? Well, if you assume WWE's number one, well, and what kind of hierarchy are we talking about? Shows that are good, shows that are hot, shows that are popular, shows that have people, watching.
Will guys want to get in there to make a living? I don't know if that's even possible at the level they're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really know. What's a hierarchy is kind of.
Use it in a stepping stone pattern. Then, like, where do you go next if you were trying to be at the next biggest promotion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would put NWA on the same level as MLW. They actually have. They actually have more fans than MLW. MLW puts on some slightly better events. I'm not overly impressed. MLW can also bore the crap out of me sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But I put them on that level. Maybe I don't really know much about the Japanese wrestling or where in New Japan Pro Wrestling falls. I know, like with New Japan Strong or whatever they had in the United States. Again, I'd probably put them, MLW, NWA kind of all on that same level. I'd probably put TNA and New Japan maybe together on the next level up. And then, then you have AEW, and then the far number one is
I think it's fair to say that NWA and MLW are kind of on the same level. It's just NWA needs to use their resources better, in a way.
Yeah. I've said it before. I've never been a fan of Smashing Pumpkins, and the little bit I like of them is actually more of the stuff that's now. But Billy Corgan is a star, and they even misuse him. Well, he's the guy that's with the biggest ego who should be putting himself into a position the best in his company, and he completely even underutilizes himself, even though he does put himself out there way too much. There's so much the NWA can do to stand out and make themselves better and really capitalize on what they do have, and they just don't. They really, really, really don't. If I was going hierarchy, I would say S tier is definitely WWE. B tier is the AEW with a little extra sprinkles of ROH on there, since it is basically one company anyway. C tier is TNA, and B tier. I'm sorry, B tier is also New Japan Pro Wrestling. C tier is TNA, and D tier is the rest. MLW, NWA, probably Game Changers, since some people think that's a major promotion. I got that as a D tier level promotion.
I think that GCW is currently probably the biggest indie. I don't necessarily enjoy their product, that style of wrestling. There are some shows I've watched because certain people I'm interested in are on there. You know what I mean? But it's just not for me. But I'm not going to deny that they are probably, they're doing the work to get recognized.
Yeah, they have a good publicist. I think they
Yeah,
make themselves seem bigger than they are, and that's always a good start if you have somebody who can create that perception. It's just the in-ring product itself. I'm not a biggest fan of. Occasionally, they have some matches that I like.
yeah,
I mean, but there's also a lot that I don't like, and I'm similar to that. I'm old school, and it's probably to my detriment in some way.
very, yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm not into the hardcore stuff, the deathmatch stuff. I'm very, very old school. Like I said, I still go back at night and I'll watch a ton of NWA from like 1985, the
hmm
70s. You know what I mean? That's just my favorite. I've actually spoke with the Guardian of Chaos about this numerous occasions. That it's not a whole lot going on right now. That seems interesting. That's all old school that I sit back and watch all the time.
Well, you should definitely check out some Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. You might like that.
You keep
But
pushing that on me every time I talk to you. You push that on me.
well, you should. That's the number one wrestling promotion for a reason. Dog runs events. We don't run shows. We run events. You want to see the difference? Next time we run, make sure you come see us.
I'm gonna have to get up there someday. Yep.
Uh,
I enjoy what I see of Dog on.
Except for Dave Dahl. He sucks.
Well, that's probably what keeps you guys from being an A level.
Yeah. It keeps us humble.
Guardian points out, I would say the criteria is ratings, live attendance, and ticket sales, access to viewing the product also. Even with all that, I would still keep everything the same as what I ranked it. Bully Bone says WWE sucks.
So you have
Yeah.
recency bias, I think. I think you still have all the anger left over from everything else that's out there, Willie. I mean, let me put it like this. Is it better than Tyrus?
To me,
If it's better than
WWE
Tyrus, then it doesn't suck.
To me, currently, WWE is the best it's been in a very long time. I'm not saying I tune in constantly, but it's the best that it's been in a very long time. They've had consistently good matches on their shows as of late in the last, 6 to 8 months.
I mean, I do keep up with it, but really about the only thing I truly watch are the premium live events.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily watch a lot of the other stuff. I can't watch SmackDown right now, but I will occasionally, like if just happen to be at the right moment, I might turn on Raw, but like the last few weeks where it's been in Europe and it's been on early and everything like that, I haven't watched anything. I haven't watched it. I barely even looked at what the results are. Honestly, they're too close to WrestleMania, and I kind of know that they're just very gimmicky. And, we'll see.
Most of my Raw watching is highlights on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of modern wrestling right now, I'm disliking modern wrestling so much that I'm watching 1987, 88, 89 AWA, and I'm watching WWWA and Central Stage Wrestling. And I'm finding that more entertaining than modern wrestling. So that should tell you something.
Did you say the AWA, 1989 AWA?
Yes. Anything basically, I've been watching Lawler to Zbyszko, and after that point.
It's a very underrated era for the AWA, I think. I think there was a lot of great things happening there. They were just cherry-picked of all their talent. But they had a lot the arenas were empty. You'd watch, the TV, and there were just basically just very few people there, and it was going downhill so fast. But I loved that era for some reason. I loved Larry Zbyszko as AWA champion as well.
Oh, yeah, and Nikita Koloff was great, and the Patriot, Del Wilkes, and a very underrated wrestler, TJ Peterson, was great. The Midnight Rockers were still good. The Midnight Rockers, the Bad Company were still good, and then when they split them up, the Guerrero
Destruction Crew.
Crew. Yep. Yes.
I I believe that what's his name ran through there. Harley Race came through
Yeah.
for a match with Harley. Yep.
That was great. I've always been a Masa Saito fan. The Saito suplex was one of my favorite maneuvers. It was very underrated, but also we had the Team Challenge Series.
Well, you know.
Did you ever see the TV taping they did in the empty studio?
Yes, and it's so
Yes.
funny how so many talented wrestlers who became stars were actually on that one as jobbers. I'm sorry,
Jerry.
enhancement. Yeah, like Jerry Lynn. Yeah.
Jerry Lynn. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I finally got the chance to see that when it aired on the WWE network, but then they took it down. I don't think it's up on Peacock.
I don't think so either now.
Yeah.
And he also was there. Yokozuna was called Coquina Maximus back then.
Yep.
But we started.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I actually liked him as Kenny Maximus. Maximus.
Well, yeah.
Oh boy, he was
This is
Maximus.
probably more accurate, but
Willie Bone says the worst thing Corgan done was making Tyrus NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I would probably agree.
He held it for way too long as well, and it was doing absolutely. I think that he thought that it was going to cross over better with him being on Fox and stuff like that, but I don't think it helped. I don't think anybody was watching Fox and being like, "Oh, I got to check out this NWA Power."
yeah, that's the same mindset as thinking tariffs are a good thing. And that's not a political thing; that's an economic thing. All right.
My thing with it was because I remember people always said, "I go, well, it's an experiment," and go, "No, it's not an experiment."
So was LSD.
I go. Tyrus was TV champion for a year, and he had the TV title on there. If anybody was going to follow NWA because of Tyrus, they would have already been following it. So, I mean, putting the world title on him wasn't going to make people start, watching Gutfield suddenly go, "Oh wow, now he's the world champion, not just the TV champion." Well, we got to tune in. Come on.
Well, wasn't the rule? And I don't know if it's still the rule. Like, if you have 2 or 7 successful television title matches, you could go on to a world title match. Or was that the rule?
Still is, I think.
It still is. Okay, and then he
you
wouldn't.
Can. It's
okay. So did he not defend the title 7 times in that entire year? That's the other question.
Oh, he defended it like 8. We figured out one time that it averaged about
one every 2.5 months, wasn't there? Something like that. End up actually being 8 defenses if you count one somehow out of that.
Okay.
Because the first time he actually challenged for the world title, he didn't give the title up.
Right.
And then he cashed it in to get in the 3-way. And so it was weird, bad story. So, yeah, the worst thing was that Dave Valentine says Mike Mondo needs a push. Is he still wrestling there? I don't know.
He's scheduled to be booked again in the future things, so I think so. And
okay,
he has looked good. The little I've seen of him. Thank you, Marky D.
I assume everybody that's new to the NWA is only going to be on for about 2 premium live events, and that's the last we'll ever see of them again. So Sean Mega is row under WWE Reality of Wrestling. They're an ID thing, but that's
I think it's related just through the WWE ID. He has Booker's got some students in the ID program, and they're bringing guys in the program that are not necessarily from what is it called? ROW, whatever. Yeah, Reality of Wrestling. Thank you.
Just stay away from Chase Ranch there, Booker T.
Yeah. Let's see. Guardian says, appreciate it. Says for our thoughts. No problem. That's what we're here for.
If you really appreciate it, $30, $50 would really show me.
I'll
let you know my PayPal.
Now it's time for CEP to join the NWA as a territory.
CEP, isn't that the stuff you have when you can't sleep and you have to wear a mask?
I think so. Honestly, I don't know who CEP is, so I can't comment on that. Look, we all know that anyone that joins the territory is for one or two reasons. It either something that Billy thinks gives him an advantage or something that,
He's going to gauge. He's going to gauge their talent. Bring them on the road for regular NWA shows, and it's basically these territories are going to book NWA shows for him in that area, that said area. So he's got 2 Texas territories. I don't know where the hell else. Ohio, right? And the supposed Chicago one. Does that one still exist? The Chicago one?
it does. They didn't run a show for 5 months or 6 months or something like that, but then they ran one, and now they're supposed to. But all it is just it's Billy's promotion run by Brian Idle, just like the main promotion, and
doesn't Brian have like a hand in the book as well?
Yeah.
Well,
Brian runs Chicago. He's the book and everything like that. But he's basically they just use their NWA and local Chicago talent. It's just they don't have any titles of their own or anything like that. Let's see. Sean Mega goes, WWE YouTube highlights are better than actual Raw and SmackDown full episodes.
Truth.
Well, I've heard SmackDown since it's been 3 hours. It's been terrible.
I can't tune into a 3-hour SmackDown. I'm sorry. When it was 2 hours, I could sit there because I was on, honestly, the better of the 2 shows for a very long time. But I'm not sitting through a 3-hour show. That's when they start creating those skits and the garbage in between matches because they need to fill in 3 hours worth of television.
Which I find weird because they have so much talent that's not used.
Yeah.
But again, this is proof that WWE,
it's an entertainment company.
Well, yeah, it hasn't been wrestling for years.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have. Sean Mega says WWE and WCW Vault is my favorite wrestling. I will say that I've been watching quite a bit of the early WCW, NWA World Championship Wrestling since it's gone on YouTube.
Yeah, I've been watching some of the television. They need to put some of the worldwides and main events and stuff like that up there. Hopefully that they will at some point.
I actually didn't sleep the other night because I was watching 2 out of 3 Falls with Flair and Steamboat. God, I hate Bonnie Steamboats. Somebody should have pushed her into a wood chipper.
No kidding. Tell me they're divorced now. Even if
they are. He's married to somebody. He's married to somebody else now. There was like a television special, last year, the year before, and he was sitting there with his new wife, and he seems extremely happy with his wife now, the second wife.
She owned the name Steamboat for a while, and he couldn't use it.
Yep.
She got in a divorce because she was a bitter biatch.
Well, all I know, because I always ask, I go, why was Steamboat's reign so short? I would have thought they would have gone with an opportunity to use him and stuff like that, and apparently it was because when he first
something
came
to
in,
do with money and booking and stuff. Yeah.
Well, apparently when they first came in, they actually only signed like a short-term contract. I want to say like a year or something, maybe even less. And so when the time came to renegotiate, that's when Bonnie really got in the way because apparently she was his business manager.
Yeah, I think John Arezzi spoke about that a lot on his podcast a while back as well, because he booked him for a signing, and he didn't have some pleasant things about her from the signing.
She's as popular as Dory Funk's wife, unfortunately.
Great. Dave Valentine, check out promotion called MAW, M-A-W, in Minnesota. It's a beast of promotion. MAW stands for a special name. Okay. See what I can find on it.
If Dave Valentine, is that the one that Mick Karch is a part of? If you don't mind putting that in the chat.
Mick Karch, is it?
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, I think that he does I know he does some announcing work still out there in the Midwest. I'm pretty sure he's part of that. He's still involved out there.
Sean Mega says, I like NWA New Mexico so far. And Sean, I'm going to be honest, I have not watched any of the wrestling yet.
Is there like a broadcast, like a YouTube show for that? The New Mexico?
I think
Link us,
there,
everybody. Link us of all the NWA stuff and where it is.
Okay.
I think I think there is a YouTube channel under whatever their actual wrestling promotion name was before they were called,
Okay.
something city
Right.
wrestling.
I really, out of all the territories that are involved in the NWA, I really do like the Joe Kazana promotions. I think it's the most promising out of all of them.
Well, I like Joe Cansana. They have done some stupid things on it, but I like it best because for the most part, they are what they are, and they don't pretend to be more.
Right.
And I don't know. Have you watched any of the Maple Leaf Wrestling since Scott Moore's?
Not yet. I have planned on it, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I mean, they've only ran a handful of shows, correct?
2, I think, maybe 3.
Well,
Because they just ran. I think last weekend or the weekend before, they ran like 2 shows and back to back.
It's sort of a trick question. I think they ran 2 shows, and then I'm under the impression they may have run 1 somewhere, and then they ran 2 more shows. So they're up to 4 or 5. I did watch them. Of course, a lot of people are expecting them to be the next big great thing, and TNA Reborn. Which why would anything want to be TNA Reborn? And
Bless them.
I mean, look, I watched it. I watched the one that was had Latimer versus Dreyer. What's funny is guys will criticize the hell out of WWE. They don't like WWE. They don't like WWE wrestlers. They don't like Baron Corbin or whatever. And then, heaven forbid, as soon as they become a free agent, all these same people that hated, that hate WWE and hated the wrestlers on WWE, now all of a sudden, Baron Corbin, he's the greatest thing ever, and the NWA needs to fuck him. I don't know what, and they need to put their belt on him. And it's like, God, get off the crack, Jaden, why is that? Tell me, Jaden.
I grew up in the Philadelphia area where everybody is a Eagles fan until they're not, and everybody's a Flyers fan until they're not, and everybody's a Phillies fan until they're not, and usually that happens in the same games, let alone the same season. It's because they're fair weather fans, and they want their own promotions, their own something to be seen bigger. And so now they will put their hopes on the next big star, hoping that'll make their promotion seem like a bigger deal. And because there's so much hate, visceral residual hate, because of the era of McMahon post the Attitude Era, where he just embittered the fans so much, it doesn't matter now. They're going to hate it. They want this AEW and these flippy dippy shits and all this stuff to be great because they hate WWF and they love bad flippy wrestling, and so they will put on rose-colored glasses to believe that's something that they can, something that's great, so they can say how great it is and tell everybody how great it is. And I'm waiting for you to start ringing bells because it keeps saying great, by the way.
Ding, 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 ding. I sort of understand that to an extent. I just don't understand why you hate WWE, but then think that you need to have one of their mediocre wrestlers as the top, best, greatest person on.
Because pro wrestling fans are confusing. They'll sit there and bash the WWE, or if somebody signs with WWE, but nobody, in my opinion, gets in this business to just continue to work on a local indie or to sign with something that's a little bit bigger with that. They want to make this their career and make a lot of money. And the ultimate goal is to get to WWE, and regardless of what your outlook on the career is. And a lot of fans just don't seem to understand that when they get pissed off that somebody is signed with the WWE. Like I believe that Jeff Cobb is supposedly coming in, and there's a lot of fans flipping out because he's leaving New Japan to go there. So I mean, but it's going to be a great business decision and life decision for Jeff Cobb, whether he lasts 6 months there and makes a shit ton of money, pardon my language, in the 6 months, or you know what I mean, last years down the road.
One thing I will always tell people: nobody hates pro wrestling more than pro wrestling fans.
Yes,
So
you're
there's
100% correct.
And nobody hates pro wrestling fans more than pro wrestlers and promoters.
For the most part, you're right. The only ones that seem to like them are the ones I wouldn't actually consider pro wrestlers or promoters.
Exactly. All right, Rick, I have a question for you real quick.
Yes, sir.
That's somewhere along the same vein. There's a difference between a star and somebody who's known. I would say Baron Corbin was not a wrestling star, but I would say he was somebody that's known. So what would you define as a star versus a well-known wrestler? I mean, Cody Rhodes, star. Baron Corbin, Dreyer, well-known wrestler.
Look at somebody like The Rock, Steve Austin. They are stars outside of professional wrestling. They're probably two of the biggest names that ever hit the world. And then the thing with a lot of modern wrestling is nobody is big outside of, say, WWE. It's basically you're known for being in WWE. You're not a movie star. You're not this gigantic star making, tons of money outside of that particular company. If
With
that
few
makes any
exceptions,
sense.
there are some exceptions. Like I will say, like Matt Cardona. Probably
That's Matt Cardona. Sorry to cut you off, Jaden, but Matt Cardona has worked his ass off to make his own money and become big once he was released from WWE. You got to give that guy all the credit for everything he's done since he was released in WWE, however many years ago. And the guy's he's done a lot of work to get to where he is.
Yeah, and that's true. And the difference in a star, in my opinion, is they have a je ne sais quoi, I don't know what, to be perceived to be bigger than life and larger than life. And that's part of the problems is a lot of the wrestlers nowadays really don't, even WWE really don't have that, with rare exceptions, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, The Rock.
I don't really think Cody's that guy either. No offense. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I don't think he's really that famous outside of the whole entire thing. Punk, to me, Punk's probably the next guy because once he was gone from wrestling, he did a lot of outside stuff, kept his name kind of out there, even though, whether it be acting in crappy movies or, the attempted UFC, etc. So, I mean, I think that he kind of did a little something to try to keep his name there.
Well, I think you can be a wrestling star and not necessarily be without necessarily having crossed over into pop culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think it's possible to be a wrestling star without that. And so, I mean, to me, Cody Rhodes would be a star. But, what's Kevin Owens? What's Seth Rollins? What's Kenny Omega? What's John Moxley, Dean Ambrose?
Wait, I can tell you what he is, but it would
well, okay, but I don't want to have to look for the button.
The mute button, yeah.
So, but I mean, in general, what are these guys? I mean, I don't know that I would call any of them stars. I mean, WWE they don't have wrestlers; they have superstars.
I think they're wrestling stars, but I'm not sure that they like you said, they haven't crossed over into pop culture. They're not necessarily stars.
I wouldn't even call them stars either, because none of those that he mentioned are automatically like, oh my God, they're on the card, I have to watch that.
Yeah.
People love or hate him, love John Cena. He is a star. He's got that special ability to grab an audience. I'll go musically. I really don't listen to this type of music, but I know who Taylor Swift is. I know who Sabrina Carpenter is. I know who Miley Cyrus is. But name any of the other of the little pop superstar people like that, I couldn't give you any one of their names.
Their
And that's
names,
because these people have the ones I mentioned. While again, it's not my style of music, they have something special to make them a big deal, in my opinion.
they're also names you can't escape. Like
Yeah.
whether it be that watching the news, scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, whatever, they're just names you can't escape. Like they're
And I
always
could say,
around.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I could say like Sabrina Carpenter. I loved Boy Meets World, so I tried to watch Girl Meets World, and I just wasn't. It was so annoying. I could not get into it. But I immediately, within like 2 or 3 episodes, picked out the little blonde girl and said, "This girl has mega star charisma. She's going to be something." And that was Sabrina Carpenter. That's probably the main reason why I know what she looks like. I guess again she is everywhere, so I see her all the time. But I knew immediately she had something, and a lot of people agree with me, a lot of people didn't. But it's obvious that she had something, and you can pick that out sometimes with certain people.
Hey, Jaden,
Special feeling, yeah.
Your human cyborg relations again.
C3PO, human cyborg relations.
Yes. So, I don't know. I mean, I understand what he's saying there and stuff like that. But some of it's also going to be longevity. Say what you will about Taylor Swift. She's been around forever. And I remember even Cher one time, years ago, years and years now. But she was saying, she goes, look, I've been active in 5 decades. She goes, I may not be the greatest singer, greatest actress, greatest stage, performer, whatever, but she's been around, she's won her awards, she's done all of it. And so it's like, people have to deal with that. Sabrina Carpenter, will she be, will we still be talking about her in 4 years? Well, I don't know, but we'll find out. I think the reason that Jaden's C3PO voice came up because when he first started talking about the little blonde girl, I was afraid they were going to, cancel our YouTube thing here. So I don't know.
Well, I'm back, and now I'm trying to sound more like Darth Vader.
It might be. Sorry. Yeah. Closer. Not real close, but closer. I don't know. So let's see. Noob says he only watches NWA New Mexico because of Natalia Markova matches.
I get this feeling Noob's a Markova fan.
I am too. I think he might be the one leaving you those certain comments on your girl matches.
Well, if Dr. Zucconi ever books Markova, I know whose comments I should be deleting.
Yeah. Dave Valentine goes, I miss the days of the Big Four wrestling that was all about WWF, AWA, NWA, WCCW, Flair versus Steamboat, Kerry versus Lawler,
Al Perez and Brad Armstrong.
Mega Powers Explode. Yeah, I can see all that. Brad Armstrong was somebody who I just always loved as a wrestler.
Same.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And it's just he should have been he should have been a star.
People who said he didn't have it really need to watch him versus Tully Blanchard for the TV title when they were just starting to push Brad Armstrong in the NWA. He had everything you need then. He could even have a good promo then. Somebody just picked him to not be a star. Somebody had something against him. It had to be because he had the ability. I'll die on that hill.
You can go back and watch. I think it's Great American Bash 1990, maybe. I could be wrong by the year. Maybe 91 with him and Bobby Eaton.
Oh, yeah.
I got to tell you, it's the opening match And that match sets the entire crowd on fire. Like, you can hear, the crowd is reacting to everything. And that's two of the greatest professional wrestlers that ever hit the ring. They just really riled up that crowd and got them into the entire show. They were hot the rest of the night.
There was a match, I think it was actually on the WCW channel, but it was when Brad challenged Ric Flair for the world title after he had won the national championship. And he challenged Ric Flair for the world title at the Omni. And it was just like, he could go. He had the ability. Sean Mega notes that a star makes you spend your hard-earned money. I can agree with that. Valentine NWA booked Markova versus Neidhart for Crockett Cup. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I still have no idea what Neidhart's doing for Crockett Cup. Some people think she's going to be wrestling for the world title, NWA world title. But she is supposedly for sure wrestling. I don't know.
I find it interesting that she's working in that she's going to the NWA.
Well, I think this will. I don't really know. I know she's still under WWE contract.
Yep.
But this is another place where people need to keep perspective, because, there are all these people that were getting ready to put War Machine or whatever they're called in WWE, in the Crockett Cup. And it's like, they're not going to send their tag team champions down to the Crockett Cup. I mean, Neidhart, bless her. It's been a long time since she was a champion, and the last time she was champion, there was some criticism that they put the title on her, and she's not used that much. She doesn't wrestle that much anymore. Let's not overstate. She's become more of a WWE ambassador than she is an active wrestler on. And so if she comes and wrestles, I would think it would be a specialty match or just to put over whatever, but put over the champion. But I almost don't see that either. She's still truly under contract. So I don't know what she's going to be doing, but please, let's not. It would make more sense for the Natalya versus Natalya at Crockett Cup than anything else. Just hopefully
what about Natalya versus the Page sisters?
That could work.
Give 3 people a rub.
Yeah. So, what have I told you about talking like that? Anyway,
wrong rub there, Herbert.
So, yeah, I don't know, but again, people, let's keep our shirts on. Let's not
keep your pants on is probably more accurate.
Well, for you.
I'm not the one leaving comments on Valerie Vermin and Notorious Mimi matches.
Well, despite what you try to imply, neither am I. So we all know it's Rick. Anyway.
Thanks.
No problem. Rick, are you married?
Yes.
I'd probably not let her watch this show. Oh, wow.
Any more NWA news?
Bloodsport. There is a match happening at Bloodsport. An NWA talent has taken on a WWE talent. It's GR Kratos and Killer Cross, or Karrion Kross, whatever you want to call him.
Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I'm looking forward to. Every year, that's one of the shows I look forward to the most is Bloodsport. It's kind of like an old school style shoot fighting, grappling type thing. Reminds me of watching like the UWF from the 80s and early 90s. The Japanese UWF, excuse me. And to me, it's just entertaining. And I think that every year they've been working in say, more and more WWE guys and other talents from other organizations, major organizations. And this is a match that, when it was announced, I actually got really, really excited for.
See, somebody's excited for Karrion Kross. That hasn't happened in so long. Guy that is barely in WWE and barely used is huge in GCW.
I think Kross is such an underutilized talent. I loved him in TNA, and when he was in NXT briefly, I think he's an amazing talent. Why they're not doing more with him or even pushing him to the moon on the main roster is beyond me, because I think that guy, to me, he is the total package. He's got everything and can be a huge star.
I think he lost that.
I'm sorry, repeat that, Jaden?
I said I think he lost a lot of his marketability when he started growing his hair out.
Yeah.
Well, I think my personal thing is I don't think he ever recovered from Vince's booking.
It's very, very possible. A lot of people never did, have.
I mean, they let him go, and Hunter brought him back, but Hunter didn't book him in the main roster like he booked him in NXT. And I understand that's a little more difficult because in NXT he was such a monster, destroyer, stuff like that. And you just can't fit everybody into the top. And that's what so many people forget. Like I remember there was someone saying one time, they go, well, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon should have been world champion WWF. And it's like, well, there's some arguments for that. But like, where would you have fit him in? And, especially that would have been more than just a hot shot, title reign. I mean, he probably would have been a better choice than Diesel, but.
Diesel was super hot over when he won it. The bad booking got Diesel under. Honestly.
Was that WrestleMania 11 he won the belt?
Diesel?
Yeah.
Diesel won it from Bob Backlund before that.
You're right.
Yeah. And they messed up Diesel. And here's the thing. If you say, oh, he's been there so long, he deserves to be world champion, you know nothing about professional wrestling. Because the only people that deserve to be champion are the people that make the most money as champion. That's the only time you deserve to be champion, is if you're there to make money. If you are the guy to be able to put the brand on your shoulders. Anybody else, if you're not one of those select few, you don't deserve to be champion. It isn't like these participation trophies you get because you all played the same sport. And Timmy, who's sitting there in outfield eating his own boogers and not really paying attention, still gets the same trophy. No, in wrestling, it's not. It's who makes the company money. Yes. And and I don't mean mid-card money or upper mid-card money. I mean main event, filling the house money, and that's who should be world champion.
Yeah, it was like the old saying, which was the better professional wrestling match? Steamboat versus Savage or Andre versus Hogan?
Well, the better match was Steamboat and Savage, but the one that actually drew the crowd for the majority of the people who were going there was Hogan and Andre.
Right, and I don't remember who it was, but that's why somebody was saying he goes, that was the best match on the card. Pro wrestling match. He goes, because that's what people wanted to see. Didn't matter that Andre was past his prime, that Andre had a back brace, was in constant pain, and could barely move. And I go, it's why you went to that event.
They mentioned, like somebody in this chat mentioned, a star, somebody who helps you spend money on. A worker is a person who separates a mark from his money. The best worker is the person who separates the most money from the most marks. It's not your flippy guy. It's not your indie darling. It's not whatever. The word has been bastardized so badly and abortionized. A worker is a guy who separates a mark from its money. And that's all. So Hogan, spectacular worker back in the day. Ric Flair, spectacular worker back in the day. You know who else was? That drew a lot of money, and you'll laugh at me because I hated him at that one time. Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant separated a lot of marks from their money. So that's what, anybody tells you is like, oh, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are the best workers, and Okada and blah blah blah. It's who separates the marks from the money. They might separate you from your money, but they don't nearly do it as much as anybody else.
Well, like you said, the most marks for the most money.
Yeah,
and that's like Bobby Heenan would say. He said Roll Monsoon would tell him, if you're not in this business to make money, he goes, you're a fool. That's the reason for being in any business, is to make money.
Yeah.
And that's what puts a person into the main events. That's what. Look, you got to have strong people, like, strong athletic working type people. Like somebody said, Jim Cornette, I believe, when talking about Sid, would you rather have Sid or would you rather have Arn? It's like, well, Sid can make you a lot of money in
one match. Arn can make you a lot of money over a long period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, So you do got to consider things like that. But yeah, if you want to bring Sid in for, 3 months, you can make some money with Sid for 3 months. But if you want to consistently make money for a while, then, you need your Arn Andersons. You need your Tully Blanchards. Tully Blanchard, he could separate me from my money because I want to see him get his ass kicked so bad.
I have a question for both of you.
Okay.
NWA, who's the best worker based on the actual real meaning of the word? Who is the one that's going to separate you from your money at the NWA? Who's the one that's going to separate the most people from their money in the NWA? Is there anybody?
I honestly can't think of anybody right now.
The one
that's like a full-time talent in the NWA?
Yes.
Full-time NWA.
Despite some of his atrocious booking, the one that keeps me very interested still is Thrillbilly.
I love Thrillbilly, yeah.
Yeah. Better with Pollo. Certainly was better with Pollo. Has not been as good in the Southern Six. They really screwed him in his national title reign. But yeah, he still has the ability to talk me into a seat. Like if he was around here and wrestled regularly in this area, I would go to cards just to see him.
Yeah. I'd have to agree that I think Thrillbilly is probably the best thing that they have in the NWA. And I'm surprised because I thought at one point they were gearing towards putting the title on him, the NWA title, but I guess that didn't happen. But he'd probably be the best thing that they do have. As far as talent goes.
So you think he has the ability to do it, but is there anybody who's currently doing it that, that's not to be built to do it and is currently doing it? Is it EC3? Is EC3 draw the most attention to the people?
EC3 is a former WWE TNA star, et cetera, et cetera. So they utilize him in that manner. You know what I mean? People are going to go to see him because they're familiar with seeing him on TNA, WWE, whatever brand he was in. I have no interest necessarily in seeing EC3. I'm not interested in him. I'm never really a big fan. His promos bore me to tears. I think that just the common fan would probably go see him because they recognize him and his name.
Well, and what I was saying with Thrillbilly is he can separate me from my money.
But what about overall general? Noob was going to pick Markova. We know that. He'd buy her underwear from her if she would sell it.
I would say nobody currently, but it has more to do with the booking than it does some of the talent. There were two people who I felt probably were able in the past who were able to rise above the booking, and one was Nick Aldis,
Yeah.
who drove me crazy because he was so overexposed. But man, he was somebody I paid to see. And the other was Camille. And
them as a team, as a duo, I thought were phenomenal, and I thought they worked well together and tuned in every week. And yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah, but I mean, I bought pay-per-views just on specifically to see Camille's match. So, I mean, that's the very definition of separating a mark from his money.
Yeah.
And so it always did it. Right now, the booking's so horrible. There's just nothing I want to see. EC3 was a godsend compared to Tyrus. And so a lot of us loved him just because he wasn't Tyrus. And unfortunately, he also kind of took over as they were doing away with the pay-per-views. And so we never got just like hot matches from him because they were all short. Premium live event or signature live event, whatever Billy calls them. They were short matches that didn't do a lot for us. And then, like, his promos are boring. He talks too much. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody right now that would make me want to pay. Well, there is nobody right now that would make me want to pay. I mean, the two NWA shows I've been to, probably 60% of the reason was because I was going with Jay.
Yeah, he's dragging me to Crockett Cup, unless unless there's another pandemic or something that I could pray for.
Yeah, I went to what the hell was the show? 76.
76.
Yeah.
So look at down your shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, look down on my shirt. So because that was the closest they had come to my area. I live in the New Haven area of Connecticut, and I highly doubt they are coming to Connecticut anytime soon, or even New York, really. I mean, I know that a lot of the talent showed up at a new company called, I think it's Awesome Championship Wrestling in White Plains area or Poughkeepsie, one of those. And, I think Alex Taylor was on the show. Tom was on the show. And it's just like I couldn't even go there because it's like I didn't have any interest in just seeing a bunch of other guys. But I'm not able to make the Crockett Cup this time around because actually I have too many family things going on that week, and I had originally planned. It's only a 3-hour drive from me, but I'm kind of disappointed I won't be able to attend again.
I like the way you say only 3 hours. To me, anything over one is not only.
Well, I mean, I don't like to drive more than an hour, but I mean, last year I got a hotel. Me and my son drove down there and spent the whole weekend down in Philadelphia, setting the sights. I'm a huge record collector. I found a couple record shops in the area, went out to eat and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun. But
Did you get carjacked?
I did not.
You didn't really get a Philadelphia experience. And you get a soft pretzel, you get a cheesesteak, you get carjacked.
What? You get carjacked while eating a cheesesteak? Is that the Philly experience?
No, that's the one
you
thing.
get the cheesesteak separate. It's got to be, you got to experience each one separately.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe to get the full experience. Yeah,
Rick,
both take place at the same time.
No, that's an overload of senses right there. But Rick should definitely make sure he's in New Jersey on the 28th of June at the Sacred Heart Church School in Riverton, New Jersey, to see Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. I will tell you, Valerie Berman is going to be there, and that's DK's favorite dog wrestler.
I will do my best. I got 2 weddings to help pay for this year, so this summer. So I got 2 daughters that are getting married this summer. So
why are you letting that happen?
I'll rent you out the wrestling venue that I'm at, and That'll be real cheap. You could have the wedding there. They buy tickets at the event. They go to the wedding, and
There you go.
yeah,
It can be a twofer.
yes.
What do you
You
mean?
got to be careful with cake and you got to be careful with cake and pro wrestling, though.
That is
Yes.
true. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand the two weddings. I mean, I would do one wedding. I'd say, look, I'm willing to throw you girls a big happy wedding, but only one. So,
Well, in fairness, one's my stepdaughter and then one's my daughter from my first marriage. So my oldest daughter.
Just have them get married to each other. Go full Alabama on that one and save some money.
I was going to say, I don't see the difference. Family's family. So
You're right. Absolutely.
You all got to get married on the same day at the same place, but not to the same man. We don't do sister wives in this family.
That's Utah, right?
I think so.
Which
if I knew, would say I paid attention. So.
Utah is losing the film festival. What's it called? The Cannes Film Festival or something like that.
Really?
Oh, really?
Not Cannes, because that's in Europe, isn't it? What's the other big film festival?
Sundance?
Sundance, yeah. Sundance is actually in Arizona. They're losing the Sundance Film Festival because of their leanings for people that would go to a film festival. Leanings against people that would go to a film festival, I guess I should say.
Film festivals are evil anyway. All right, gentlemen, is there anything else we want to talk about tonight?
Hot redheads?
Do you know any?
I know many. Yes.
Well, we may talk offline.
You're deaf. Well, I know Jay likes blondes. DK likes them breathing. With big booties.
Preferably breathing, yes.
Yeah.
Not really into that other stuff. Rick, you have any other thoughts for the night? Comments?
No, thank you. I would like to mention one thing, if that's okay.
Sure.
Mention it. Plug your podcast. Plug everything. Your website.
I'm not plugging the podcast currently, as I'm currently on hiatus, but I am part of a show next weekend. I know I'll be back next week, so I'll probably plug it again. Coliseum Pro Wrestling presents Opportunity for Success 4. It's our 4-year anniversary show at West Haven, Connecticut. If you guys can go to Coliseum Pro Wrestling on Facebook or what's the other one? Instagram. Check it out. And you guys can come out if you guys are local in Connecticut or New York, wherever. Come on out to the show.
That sounds good. Maybe one day I'll get to it. I haven't been connected in a long time, so.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun, and it's a really great product, I believe. I'm I'm a lead commentator for the brand, and I produce the television show that's on YouTube and local television. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really good show.
Please send me a link through the Discord page so I can check more of it out, and so I can see some of their stuff if you can.
Absolutely.
All righty. Mr. Jaden, would you like to talk about dog?
Not really, honestly. Dr. Zacconi owes me money. He's been paying me recently in Girl Scout cookies, and they're not even the good peanut butter patties. He's been giving me like the toasty A's, and he gave me some of the
Did you get Thin
gluten-free ones that were horrible.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
No Thin Mints?
I don't like Thin Mints.
Oh, God. I don't know how people can't like that.
I don't think we can be friends anymore then.
It's chocolate-covered toothpaste. Come on now.
All right. So let's let Jaden not talk about dog for a couple of minutes.
All right. In a couple weeks, Dog's going to be at the Rowan University for Rowing After Hours. Total amazing card from top to bottom. Going to see former WWE superstar Donovan Dijak. You're going to see NWA superstar Wrecking Ball Ligursky. You're going to see former NXT women wrestler, now known as her name in Notorious Mimi was Sloane Jacobs back then. You're going to see a person who's been a conquistador on WWE television. You're going to see Dangerous John Wrestling Gladiators heavyweight champion Breaker Morant, one of his last matches in Dog. You're going to see the dog tag team champions, the War Devils of Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh. Dave Dahl sucks. You're going to see the World Wrestling Grand Prix women's champion Valerie Verman. You're going to see the World Wrestling Grand Prix heavyweight champion David Goldie. Top to bottom, great wrestling action, of course, and Dave Dahl will be there too. Make sure we're going to have that on YouTube, so follow the dog YouTube page so you can see that. Then a couple days later, we're at the South Jersey Geek Fest. We have pro wrestling there from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you like wrestling, there's going to be a lot of it going on. So make sure you do that and then take part of the South Jersey Geek Fest. The convention's got Star Wars, Star Trek, comic books of Marvel and DC and Independence, movies, video games, music. It's going to have a beer garden there. So, beer gardens and pro wrestling, that's got to be a good combination. There's going to be contests and costume contests and anything that has to do with geeks, nerds, and science fiction and all the other stuff that you would expect. And don't forget, Dog Pro Wrestling will be there. Those matches will also be recorded, so you'll get to see that. There is going to be a dog wrestling event on June 28th at the Sacred Heart Church School in Riverton, New Jersey. Current OVW superstar DGAT Bundles is going to be there along with Tank Tolan. They're scheduled. All the champions, I think, are scheduled to be there, whoever they are at the time. They're obligated by contract to, if they're a new champion, they're going to be there. So make sure you check that out. We're going to be part of the Monmouth Park System Fair. We're going to have live wrestling action there between July 23rd and July 27th. So that way you can see pro wrestling action multiple times throughout that fair. There'll also be food and contests and carnival rides and pig racing. And I'm hoping Daredevil Dave Dahl, if he's there, I hope he lands in the pig stall because that's where pig shit belongs. And also there's going to be an American Idol star there. I have no idea what it is because I don't watch American Idol. And so I couldn't tell you. I do like that Sophie Powers girl that was on the whatever that was, America's Got Talent or something, that sang the song "Shut the F Up." But so look that up on YouTube. And then there's probably more stuff, but I don't know it. Dogs on YouTube, dogs on Instagram, dogs on Facebook, dogs on X, dogs on Blueski, aka Blue Sky, dogs on the one that's an @ symbol. What's that called? The one that has to do with Instagram, Reels or something? No, not Reels. Threads. Dogs on Instagram, dogs on Reddit, dogs probably, it's no longer on MySpace because that somehow got deleted. But yeah, dogs everywhere. Dogprowrestling.com if you want some information. Eventually they'll probably be updated, maybe, I don't know. And just again, like, comment, subscribe, and share when you go to the Dog YouTube page. And tell everybody that Dangerous John Wrestling Gladiators is South Jersey's #1 wrestling promotion for a reason. And when you get a chance, go to a dog wrestling event. Other wrestling companies run shows, dog runs events. If you want to see the difference, you want to know the difference, come to a dog wrestling event and witness it in person. That's it.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, what? I missed it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to start from the beginning.
Anyway, people.
How about IHWA? Any news?
We actually recently joined the Chamber of Commerce, and we're looking to do a couple of things around the community here to help get word out about dog and find a place that's willing to give us a building.
Dog?
Not dog.
IHWA?
IHWA. Sorry you talk dog so much now. That's what I'm thinking about.
Oh, yeah, we're joining DACA, too, so eventually we'll probably be in every university in the Mid-Atlantic area, so maybe we'll see you. I don't know if Connecticut's counted as part of that territory that they gave us, but maybe you'll see us in Connecticut, one of the universities around there.
Maybe. We'll see. Keep me
why would
posted.
anybody go to a Connecticut?
Trust me, I live here. I wonder the same thing.
See, that's a great thing about Texas. Texas, we expect everybody to want to live here.
Yeah.
And we don't understand why anybody lives in New Jersey.
The square inch, square mile, most people live in New Jersey.
Well, we figured it was because they were being punished.
I like New Jersey. I love New Jersey.
Yeah. There's a lot going wrong about New Jersey, but New Jersey actually is a very, really, really great state. It's just that you have to pay to get out of it.
Yeah, that's my point. People want to get out of it. So
That's probably why we're all here, because they wouldn't pay the fees, those horrible bridge fees to get out of the damn state.
So, Rick.
Yes, sir.
Since we understand that Jay's dumping us again next week, will you be joining us again?
I will be here next week as well. So if you want to see this beautiful face, tune in again.
Woohoo!
All right. Well, everybody out there, we managed to keep this show to just about 2 hours, which is a rarity. So now we know it's Jay that's to blame for overrunning.
Yes.
And, well, Jay likes the sound of his voice. But we're going to be off, and we will catch you all next week as soon as I find the right thing to click.
Thanks for joining the stream.
and some
This has
W.
been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.